Okay, so as promised, let me talk about a few little quirks that you can use with Dark Lina to make her that much more OP, right? As promised in the tier list video, I did say I will make a follow-up on her, specifically about this skill and specifically about this part, the energy of Dark, right? So how she gains energy of Dark is essentially you need to use two skills on Soul Link, right? On paper, that does sound quite easy, but also it does sound that you need like a lot of mana in order to get that Dark of Energy, right? And in most cases, let's say if you want to redirect this strip where you actually wanted to strip, because the range of the strip is not the biggest, right? If you want to strip a specific target, in most cases you will need to use this as a Soul Link skill, right? So using two skills and then following up with this will cost you quite a bit of mana, in most cases probably 10 or more, right? Now, there are a few tricks that you can use in order to make this a little bit cheaper, and in some cases even free, as well as charge them in like 2 to 3 seconds max, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna equip her and I'm gonna show you a few units that really boost her potential by a lot. And essentially the trick you wanna use with her is using units that have either follow-up skills based on different skills, I'll explain what I mean in just a second, or using units that use their skills, specifically skill 1 or skill 2, without actually using the skills, right? So first of all, I'm gonna start with Lina itself, right? So I'm gonna go infinite energy just so it's a little bit easier. Essentially, once you use 2 of any skill, she will receive the dark, whatever it's called, right? Dark energy. First trick that you can use is if you use her skill 2 manually on Soul Link, right? What she will do is she will use the skill, she will use the follow-up. But what you do not see is that she already has one skill use in her account, right? I don't know how it's coded like this, but it looks like she will use that dark energy before using her skills itself, and once you use that skill 2 manually, basically on Soul Link, one more skill and she will have the dark energy again. So if you do use her manually with the dark energy and you use skill 2, you are able to speed up the charging a little bit. And now to make her better, let's talk about a few units that work quite well with them, right? I haven't tested all of them, but I do have a compiled list, so I have made sure that a few of them do work, especially the more meta ones, right? And here's the deal. There's 2 units, well not 2 units, but 2 types of units that you can make use of. First of all, we're gonna talk about those that have follow-up with different skills, which means that once you use one of the skills, it will do a follow-up with the second skill or vice versa for free, right? And a few of those units is something like a Genos, something like a Verad. I do not have a Genos, but I will showcase you with Verad and the potential of him when it comes to Dark Lina, right? So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna charge her energy just to make sure that she doesn't have it. She uses her skill 2 of Soul Link, so now she has 0 stacks, right? And if you know Vera's abilities, once you use his first skill, if the enemy gets, I believe it needs to be knocked down, right? Yeah, if the target is knocked down, stunned or frozen, it will use his second skill. With Dark Lina, what this means is essentially you're using a single skill. However, because the unit used one skill and the other skill, it will count as 2. So I use this, that is one skill use. He uses the second skill by itself, and Dark Lina already has her energy, right? So units that follow up with different skills will count for this. Now, I will say that units that have follow-ups on the same skill unfortunately do not count. So as one of the examples, let's say like a Light Paladin, right? She has a skill and then she has a follow-up on the same skill. In these cases, if the follow-up is on the same skill at the bottom, this will not work for Dark Lina. She will only get 1 stack if you use this skill manually, right? It needs to be different skills, or it needs to be a skill coming from something like a passive or something like that, right? I'm talking about passives. there's a few other units that will work the same way as well. And now I will say I tried to find units that are a little bit more meta, right? I didn't want to go the route of picking units that no one will ever use, right? Although it is quite difficult because these units, like, they have been used in PvP, but like they're not these all-rounder picks. Like Verad is not an all-rounder pick. He's good if there's like no immunity, right? So one of these units, unfortunately I cannot showcase in training battle, but I will showcase you a clip from PvP that I've tried before, is Rakan, right? Rakan has a counter buff on his... Which skill was it? Was it this one? Counter attack, yes. Once you max out, it's gonna be 14 seconds. With a 15% chance, he will counter with his collapse skill. I believe it is collapse or is it revenge? I don't even know, right? One of the skills. Every time he uses the counter, once he is soul linked, he will be gaining the energy for Dark Lina, right? And I'll pop a clip on the screen right now. And yeah, here's the clip, right? So in this stream, I basically brought Dark Lina as an off soul link unit and Rakan as a soul link unit. And what you will see is Rakan will use his first skill manually, right? So let's just wait for that, for the mana to charge. He uses his first skill. This is a single charge to Lina's energy, right? And without using any further skills, you'll notice the counter attack proc. There we go, counter revenge. And Dark Lina has her energy, and look at that, perfectly, just in time for her to charge her follow-up, right? So these are some like powerful combos that you can use with soul link units. And keep in mind, like, this is like the worst case scenario. With Rakan, you're using the first skill manually. He can like do 2 quick counter attacks in like a second or 2, and he will have the energy charge already. And what you could do in that case is just quite literally just switch to Dark Lina manually, right? On Soul Link, redirect the strip wherever you want, and you have a crazy mana regen, you have a crazy setup, you have a crazy strip with a defense break, which just enables you to just power charge your units that much faster, right? Another super powerful combo with Dark Lina is another fire unit, and that is Laika, right? With Laika, I think, personally at least, Laika will be the best combo when it comes to Dark Lina, from what I tested at least, because first of all, he does not need to use any skills in order to use the energy. His counter attack, 35% rate, that is a massive rate. That is built into his passive, which means you can just have him as a soul link unit. Like, this will obviously only work in PvP where you can control units. You can use him as a soul link unit, let him get counter pops like 2 times, right? He will charge the energy, switch to Dark Lina, use the skill to with your mana, right? That you have saved up from actually not using any skills with Laika. Switch back to Laika, let him charge up once more, right? Once you have your dark energy, because you will have 1 stack from using the skill 2 manually. Use his as a soul link, let him charge 1 more counter attack. You will have your dark energy and rinse and repeat, right? And yeah, here's me trying the same thing with Laika. You will see that with Laika, like, imagine, for the opponent side, I only brought Orbia that can actually use skills, right? If there's 2 more units that actually do damage, you will charge your skill even faster, right? So what I did here, I have Laika as a soul link unit. Let's imagine that this is Brawl, right? You would be able to just switch to Dark Lina whenever you want. So without using any mana, you will see that my Orbia will start attacking Laika. He procs his Link Justice. He hasn't used any mana yet. Lina now has a single stack. He procs another Link Justice. Dark Lina already has her dark energy. Laika has not used a single skill, right? Imagine the combos that you can make by just switching these like super counter units back and forth with Dark Lina. Yeah, I rated Dark Lina quite bad before, but once I found these combos, I can see people actually making insanely good use. Like, she by herself is already an okay unit, but with these combos, she becomes insane, especially if you can pull through Dark Lina and another unit like Rakan, Laika, Verad, all of that, right? Yeah, they become insane. Yeah, just to summarize, I did try to go through the whole monster box, at least when it comes to F4s and F5s, right? And find every single unit that could potentially work with this. Now, unfortunately, some of these, especially towards the end, are light and dark F5s that I do not have, so I am not able to test them. So yeah, this is the full list that I've written down, right? I searched through every unit that is a F4 and a F5. Whether it's light and dark, RGBs, right? The ones now that works is the units that will activate the combo. So Rakan Laika we already saw, Martial Cats have a counter buff, so those will work. I don't think I noted the Imps or Imp Champions. I think a few of them have counter skills, so those work as well. Katarina works, right? I think this one refers to her basic attack, where if she kills and activates one of the skills, yeah, that works as well, because it does use a skill from a different skill. And now the ones noted with little minus signs do not work. So Berna follow-up does not work, like if she hits 3 times with her Soul Link, that does not count. Twins, no matter which twins you use, like if they use those follow-ups once one of the twins attacks, none of those work either. Unicorns do not work, Vampire Hunters do not work, however I do exclude Light Vampire Hunter because I think one of his skills has a follow-up from like a passive or something like that, so that might work. And I have written a few other units that I was not able to just test out just yet, since I was a little bit busy, sorry. But yeah, I think Water Inugami should work, he has a counter buff. Josephine I'm not sure, right, because I don't quite recall whether her counter buff comes from a skill or not, so Josephine might be another meta unit, right? Pisama, I wasn't able to test whether his like passive works, so I'll give that one up to you. Wind Pirate, I am very confident will work because he does follow-ups from different skills. Wind Harp, the passive should work, right, because it activates from her passive, but she uses an actual skill. Jamire, I'm not sure, probably not, right? Another very meta unit that will most likely work is both Lynette and Zerato, right? Because Zerato has a follow-up from his basic attack, which since he keeps attacking with basic attacks, but then he suddenly uses a skill, that should work. And Lynette has a follow-up from her second skill into first skill, so if you activate second skill, it will most likely follow up with the first skill, right? So yeah, that's the combos that I have written down, and that's how you make good use of the Dark Lina energy, right? I'll give it up to you to experiment with whatever units you have together with her. Let me know if you find any success with any of the meta units you have right now, and yeah, peace.